Hi Libra, this is a Wheel of the Year astrology tarot reading for the sign of Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising. And I've already laid out your cards. Many decks are shuffled well. And lighting your incense. Here we go. All right. So I've pulled 3 animal totem cards for you, and I've pulled 2 oracle cards from the Pure Magic Oracle deck. I usually only pull 1, but two were coming out for you. So we just took what we got. We want to make sure we're getting the full picture. There's going to be a lot of analyzing the steps you're going to be taking in 2023. And you're going to need to kind of get in touch with what your needs are and what's going on around you. And you're going to have to act from a place of not always knowing, but maybe waiting for that cue. There's going to be some signs and synchronicities that will come in for you. And I'm getting this because your cards add up to 11 down at the bottom here. And the Deer card, it's about taking the time to make sure you check before you leap. Being cautious before we jump in the water, maybe putting our toe in to get acclimated as well to new surroundings. So that's another thing that could be going on in 2023. New places, new people. And you might want to or you might be feeling like you need to be a little cautious, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And then you'll be moving forward. I almost feel like, deers leap, right? They take huge strides forward, but they only do it when they know it's safe to do so. Because there's lots of predators out there, including us, So they take their time before they can jump around and really move forward in big ways. A horse is a little different. A wild horse is very exactly wild. It's free. It's untamed. It's also, it goes where it's called to go. And it doesn't really let things hinder it. It is a big animal, so it's able to, it might be scared of stuff, yes, but it's also very fast, right? And so there's a leaping here as well, because horses do jump, right? We've seen them in races and stuff. So I feel like there's some huge strides forward in 2023 that will be coming for you. And you might be a little cautious at first, but once you get your feet in the water with whatever you're moving forward with in 2023, there's going to be no turning back for you. You're going to just like a rocket. I see what will be keeping you or helping you stay on track is your connection to the spirit world, or your own relationship with spirit, and the signs and symbols that you'll be interpreting through your connection to spirit. The Raven is a very esoteric kind of magical card. There's 2 compasses, as you can see, in these cards. There's the one with the horse and the one with the raven. And this reminds me of laying a compass in magic, right? Or a circle. There's almost this drawing in the energy that you want and using that energy to project you forward. There's also some secretiveness or mysteriousness with the raven. So there might be things that you're not telling everybody this year, or there's just an inner knowing of where to go or what to do or when to pause and reflect and when to analyze a situation and when to take leaps. And so it will almost seem kind of magical to others how you're able to do this and make these huge strides forward. Now, closing circle, it's about intention, right? And so you're coming in with some manifesting skills in 2023 that you might have learned the past few years, because we all had some big trials, right? We all went through a big change. So it says sacred doors on there. So that is also kind of going with the Raven card. There's something sacred and mysterious about what you'll be connected to something greater than yourself, and that will be helping you to feel secure in the directions that you're going and the actions that you're taking. And also timing is also on here, which connects to the deer. It's about when's a good time, finding the right, astrology, finding the right inner knowing and gut feeling. It's an instinctual thing, right? And the experiences that you have had will be helping you to understand what the pitfalls are and how to avoid them. If there are any pitfalls, these animals are jumpers and leapers, and they fly, okay? So I don't see you falling into any traps this year. If there are any, you will clear them, because you'll already have had the experience and you'll have the intent to get where you're going, and it seems like you're being helped along by your guides, guardians, ancestors, angels, whatever you want to call them. It's also the closing circle, a finishing up of something. So we might be closing off one aspect of our lives and entering a whole new framework, right? A whole new place. We're in a new place, so we have to we might be rushing towards that finish line, and then when we get there, we might have to pause for a minute. We might have to assess the dangers, right? But then I see like a rose from the cracks in the ground. You grow. You become vulnerable, and not in a scared way, but in a open to new experiences way. And there is some sort of softness to you. There's a deer is a very graceful animal. A horse is a very graceful animal. The crow, it might not sound graceful, right? It's kind of abrupt when it makes noises and it they caw and stuff. But they're very smart animals. And so they know how to get around things, what to pick up, they're very almost like a trickster almost, but not in a negative sense. They're just very intellectual birds, right? Some forms of corvids actually can understand that they're looking at their own reflection, in a pool of water or in a mirror. This has been studied. So there's a knowing thyself as well as preparing for something new. So because you know yourself and you can see yourself reflected in others as well, you know that in order to move forward in whatever direction you're going, that you might have to be open to the new people, new vibrations, new circumstances. And you're coming in with a very Venusian, very Libran, diplomatic, friendly quality to you. Now there is some sensuality here as well, so this could be with a relationship. And I think that it's more of the relationship you have with yourself, about self-acceptance. I think that the past couple of years you might have been kind of trying to be what everybody else wanted you to be, and now you're getting comfortable in your own skin, and you're understanding why you feel now is the time to move forward in a different direction than you have been proceeding in 2022. And I feel like you'll be guided along the way. You also could be going through a glow up at this time, or a spiritual awakening that is kind of allowing you to get in touch with your physical body more, because you feel more connected than ever before to yourself and to spirit. Okay. Now, I'm shocked about your first house, because I've had the woman card from the Lenormand show up in the first house. I want to say 3 or 4 times by now. It's kind of incredible that it's kind of this general vibe that's coming through for a lot of people. So the subconscious mind and the maternal side of all of us, the nurturing side of all of us, could be coming in as something that we ourselves are really focused on this year. There's this intuition with the woman card. If she normally means that a woman will present herself very important in your life. So if you are a woman, because this is your first house, you will be a very big importance to yourself. Or there's a woman that's very important to you in 2023, that's very pivotal to you specifically, and has a lot to do with your life, your person, your body. Okay. Now, her being opposite the bear in the 7th house, I see that either this woman will present herself in some way of being an authority figure on you, or you will be an authority figure to a lot of your relationships, or in your relationships this year. You'll be the one who people go to. You'll be the one calling the shots in relationships this year. Whether that's because you are, a manager or a boss, or run your own business, or are an authority of the law, or there's just some sort of authority that you bring to relationships. You're strong for relationships. Your strength will be shown in your relationships. Or you might have to be strong for a woman in your life this year. Also, the bear is about consumption. It can be about literally the food that we take in. So you might be working in an environment where you are cooking for other people, or you meet somebody who is, as a relationship partner, who is working in this field of some kind. anything to do with produce, anything to do with farming, there's, or game of any kind, hunting of any kind. The relationships you have with these people might play significance. It also can be a lump sum of cash. So there might be somebody that's maybe a has a lot of money. I don't have any other cards flipped up yet, so I can't really tell. But there will be somebody who might be also, you might be in a relationship with somebody who's quite husky, or they're quite large in stature, tall. I see that in your first house, how you'll be feeling about yourself. You might want to be careful about, there's going to be an expansive energy in your first house. So anytime that happens, we want to make sure, I think Jupiter already went through Libra in actual astrology. So that's already passed on. But this energy being here in the first house can mean we're expanding in some sort of way. This can be anything from amplifying, maybe we're getting hair extensions, okay? That's an example, because we're making our hair look more full and bigger. Maybe we are getting lip injections to make our lips look full and bigger. And this, I'm not going to go through every body part, but you can imagine there's a growing of the physical self. So if you are younger, you might actually grow quite taller, or there's some sort of projection of some sort outward with the physical body. So there's this expansive energy, and because it will be there, you might want to consider being able to channel it, being able to work with that energy. You also might be very physically abundant in some sort of way. You might have a lot of energy this year that you haven't had before. You also could feel like a lot of good luck in terms of the physical body, so you might be having better health this year. Things might be improving for you. It can be something that, swelling of any kind, sure. But I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing more of a expansive and positive energy. But also, because it is the first house, you might come off louder. You might come off bigger to people in terms of personality. So that will be something that might shock other people in your life. Maybe especially if you're quiet. But with the magician here as well, I see super manifestation, using resources, using what's around you to create, manifest. I feel like a lot of you are going to be getting into working out, and you'll be building quite a lot of muscle mass, and that will be what is expanding about your body. You will literally be much larger in certain ways in appearance because you have more muscle tone or muscle mass, excuse me. Women could be communicating a lot with a fire sign man or woman, put it whatever way that fits. There's just a lot of communication back and forth about maybe a lot of, it's an energetic card, the King of Wands, right? And we do have Jupiter here in an energetic house, in the physical house, right? The self. So there's going to be a lot of energy and you're going to want to kind of channel that energy into something. So I feel like if you're not doing sports of any kind, um, you might also be very chatty this year, much more than you've been in past years. There's a dual nature as well with the magician. So I'm trying to think of any kind of mental health issues that you've had, or there's a duality here. So it can literally be like bipolarity or any kind of being torn between two things. But because it's so well aspected, I feel like maybe you yourself might be really expanding a 360 view of something. So what you've thought about or the way you've been in past years might be, you might be showing a little bit more of the other side of yourself that other people have not seen before. There's like a jolly energy here, and there's this spiritual kind of aspect with Jupiter there. And so manifesting, like manifesting through metaphysical process. So anything to do with the body, the auric fields, the chakras, prana yoga. Sorry if I can't get my words out tonight. You might be chatting with somebody a lot about some new passion that you have that has to do with these sort of things, manifestation, or you're using manifestation to help with your body goals in some sort of way. Now, in your seventh house of relationships, I do see an authority figure. There's the Sun card twice, so this is going to be great no matter what. I see an orthodoxy and secrecy and mystery coming in. It's emotional. Somebody you know might have a baby. Somebody you're in a relationship with might be having a baby. But there's an unorthodoxy here. So they might not be married. Also adopting, because unorthodoxy can mean an alternative method. Because with the Hierophant in reverse, normally I think of like negative dogma or some sort of somebody in a spiritual community misusing their power, taking advantage. I can think of like cult leader situation. But because it's in the reverse, sandwiched between the two cards that are like from the best cards of the tarot, really, the Sun card. I mean, it brings a light to anything that would be, it burns up anything that would be like, troublesome, right? It just warms everything up and brings everything forward and has a happiness to it. It's life, life itself. And there's children in the card. And with the Bear card there, it's speaking of motherhood. So if you yourself are not becoming a mother this year, and I don't know, it might be speaking of a relationship with your own mother that's, cleaning up or healing, or and the Moon card is also there, which is about the mother as well. So you could be getting very close with your mother in 2023. Maybe you're spending more time with her. Or your mother could have something to do with introducing you to a partner, whether it's business or relationship. I see there being a lot of success here. I do, with the Hierophant in reverse, there's a non-traditionally, so it could be that in the past, you and your mother's relationship was not that great, and it can get better um, this coming year. Now, if things are toxic and not good, then obviously I'm not encouraging any rekindling of any relationships. However, if things weren't terrible and they seem to be, whatever wasn't good clears up in some way, or things are exposed in some sort of way. So also, if it's an authority figure in your life, authority on sports can fall under this category. So if you have a coach, for example, this could be this could maybe be something about that. I'm seeing more of the mother, so it's probably about somebody having a baby, and your relationship with your children developing, or there's some sort of, because the sun can be the father, right, in Western astrology. Jupiter is also opposite, and that's the Vedic husband, right? So that's the representation of the husband in Vedic astrology. So I'm just trying to see here. The husband and the mother. Yeah, I mean it's coming through as being a mother, or having something to do with your mother, your relationship with your mother, your relationship with yourself as a mother, getting to know yourself as a mother for the first time. I'm going to move on because I don't want to get stuck. Sometimes I don't move forward and I try to pick everything out. It can take me a while. All right, so in the second house, we have Mercury. We have the Page of Cups and the I believe it's the Six of Swords, yes. And the Fool and the Moon card from the Lenormand. And then in the 8th house, we have Saturn, the Five of Swords, the Death card, the Four of Wands, and the Key. You're going to be getting a lot of attention for what you value, or your priorities will be getting a lot of attention from others, or your monetary situation might be getting a lot of attention of others. Something you're starting as well. There's admonition, recognition, potentially. And Mercury being in the second house, you're going to be communicating a lot about what you value this year and what you place on importance on. So this is like you communicating your needs openly with other people. There's going to be some restriction and transformation of some kind. You might be wanting to take a move. You might be recognizing that you want to start off anew, that you want a new beginning, you want a fresh slate. And moving forward might help you in terms of your creativity, or doing something that you love more, having more room for your children. it's like you want to leave something behind that's been kind of challenging and start over fresh and with a lighter heart. And it seems like I can't help but feel like it's being looked at in a positive light by others, or your needs are either being acknowledged. Maybe that's what it is. It's an acknowledgement of your needs. You are communicating about it though. So I mean, you're not giving people the opportunity to ignore you about this. Whether it's a partner or somebody that you would be communicating about this sort of thing with, that would apply. In your house of transformation, debt, taxes, investments, shared resources, it's definitely about some kind of loan or mortgage for a house, because I see the key here, and the key holds the answers, right? But it also can just be a key. So, and also I have the Four of Wands right next to it. So it has something to do with opening the door to some kind of new home or celebratory thing, like a housewarming party, because you got the key. And then I have the Death card in the Death house. So that's major transformation or an ending that comes in. And there's sort of you feeling like you came out on top in a situation with that, but then feeling kind of guilty about how other people are ending up in the situation. Mentally, you've got the Three Swords, right? So you are kind of heartbroken. You're heartbroken more for somebody else than yourself, though. So, and there's some sort of Saturn is like restriction, and it's also kind of responsibility, being responsible for your end of the bargain in that house. It's being responsible for your debts as well. It's feeling restricted though, like you can't really, maybe you're being restricted because it could be that you have recently gone through a breakup and are now moving out and kind of having to do things all on your own, and you're feeling a little bit more tight in the budget and the financial sector of things, because you know you've got one income now. But I don't think that's what it is, because I have the Moon card and I have the key, and and honestly they're really good cards. I see like it's unlocking a mystery as well, or spirit answering. The moon can be literally like about nighttime. But let's talk about Mercury in the 2nd and Saturn in the 8th. You might be communicating about what you need versus the restrictions on other people's finances. So you might be talking about wanting to move and how you need that change, but your partner might be like, well, we don't have the money to do that, or I don't have the money to do that. And so there's this kind of push and pull, because you know that moving would make you happier. And, you know, but there seems to be a change that leads to resentment. There's some sort of ending that leads you feeling like you got what you wanted, but the other person isn't happy now. Or it's also, Saturn is authority, right? It's the government, it's organizational authority. And so if there's been any kind of legal action you've had to take, the answer to that is maybe you do win the case of over something. So if you're going through a divorce in 2022, it ends up that you get the house, and that ends for the other person and leaves you in the on the top of things, and them with like you looking over at them like, I feel really bad, like, because they're so miserable, and that being like kind of almost kind of dampering your celebration. Because it doesn't always feel good when we get in conflict with other people. And Saturn can be conflict. It's a different kind of conflict. It's like that conflict that it's not really necessarily aggressive. It's just like, it can be like the Tower, it can be like kind of come down on you hard, karmic. But it seems like whatever shared resources they have to do with a home, there's a change there. You might win a battle, but at some kind of cost of feeling like things are good. It also could be some sort of housing issue that you have to go to court for. I only say court because of the bear in the 7th house, and the 7th house is about, it's the Libran house. It's about the law, and also the bear is about authority, right? So it could be a literal police officer or somebody who's an authority figure. But having the 2 sun cards there, and the moon card as well. The moon is about like our nurturing, but it's also about secrets in the tarot, and I kind of read it as both with these kind of house planet cards. But it can be like a secret being revealed, and maybe there was somebody who was doing something they weren't supposed to, that was in authority, and that's being brought to light. It was a non-traditional method that, and so you win in court over this sort of thing. There is something though about you being, there's a valuing of beauty as well, because the moon card can be about beauty and about glamour, and you might be starting some new beauty regimen or valuing that this year. We did say that there could be some amplification of some body part, right, with the 1st house, and so you might be moving out of feeling kind of bad about some situation and into getting a lot of attention, or flirting around a lot more. The moon card could also represent a relationship. So if you did start a new relationship, you could be enjoying, after leaving one behind that wasn't working out, or being single and it was very challenging. Now you're enjoying the communication and flirtation with that, or valuing that in another person. And you might be moving in together, because I do have the key and the 4 of wands, and that being a great change. The 5 of swords is also be careful what you wish for, and Saturn being there is be responsible, because you might want to protect your own assets in the situation and make sure that you're not being absorbed by somebody else, or you're not giving up all your independence, or you just might want to be careful that, and have that I hate to put like a paranoia on it, but you just never know what tomorrow brings necessarily, so we don't want to just give up all of our I'm looking for a word here, all of our own power. Okay, so there's a restriction of power as well, or a sharing of the power, because that's the traditional thing to do, right? So maybe it's more shared efforts within the home, and more of a traditional approach to sharing assets. So that would mean both of your names on everything. That would mean, um, but having the Five of Swords here, it just makes me a little concerned. Um, Next to the Death card, it also can mean inheritance. You might actually inherit somebody's home. Um, there could have been a death in the family. You would have already known this was coming. They would have been older. Um, and you make out because you get the inheritance and other people are pissed in the family that you got it. I don't really see the pissed in the family, though. I do see that there is family involved because of the Four of Wands, but I also would think that why would you have to look over your shoulder at somebody who's walking away? Like maybe you just were the one that was left this by an authority figure. I don't quite understand it. The key is the key. It is the answer to what you've been asking for in 2023. So you might get a home. You might actually get your first home or inherit something, and it might just come at a cost. Like you lose somebody, they leave you something, and Saturn being there, it's about time as well. So and the eighth house is death. So it could be somebody has a timely death. And I'm not saying untimely, I'm saying timely, like it was coming. And you feel bad that they're gone and you're grieving them. And you feel really sorry for their family and stuff, or your family and stuff. But you are also kind of like really happy that you've gotten to this point in your life where you can actually attain this, because it's maybe taking a long time to get to this point. And you might not have been able to do it without a lot of hard work for many more years. So that's coming in. I'm going to move on. Third house, the Sun, the Page of Wands. I'm always checking to see if this is like doing its thing. I hope that didn't get stuck, guys. I'm sorry. The Sun, the Page of Wands in the third, the Judgment card, the Hermit in reverse, and the Coffin. And then the ninth house, Pluto, the World, the Ten of Wands, Justice, and the Tree card in the Lenormand. Give me 1 second, sorry. I'm trying to get my bearings here. So the Sun, being in the third house, you'll be communicating a lot about your creative ideas this year. You'll be expressing yourself in new ways verbally, or there'll be some sort of, I feel like you might realize you're good at singing. There's some sort of sound of the voice here that's coming through, your voice being heard, creating music, creating something that has to do with sound or music of any kind. I don't have Venus here, but it makes me think of those things. It also could be an instrument. It could be a stringed instrument that you're getting involved with. It could be any kind of wood instrument or metal instrument. There's endings, though. Endings in communication with somebody at a distance from your family. because maybe that was something that this could have had to do with the 8th house and that whole thing with the house being given to you and not to them. It's also a sibling. And I would hope that you wouldn't stop talking to your sibling, but sometimes in the world we live in, that's the way it works. So that is a potential. An ending to communicating with the sibling and going your own way, because you've realized that they're immature about how they express themselves, or they're expressing themselves in an immature way, or you live at a distance and can't really be a part of something to do with the family. Family court comes up in the 9th house for some reason, the philosophies of others and culture. So this is also a balancing of the health, having to do with another culture or at a distance, and traveling there. So you might be communicating a lot about traveling to a different place or learning information on foreign plant life or health medicinal uses that would balance something else out. There's some sort of justification here. Family court could come up. An ending to somebody's, if somebody did pass, it was because of a natural occurrence and it had to do with their health, right? So that could be it. Also, the tree can talk about time, right? Because it grows over a long period of time. Pluto is about transformation. The Justice card can also be about balance and peace, right? It can be about taking a trip abroad because we need to rebalance and recalibrate ourselves and restore peace. This can also mean at a world scale that there's something to do with health, some sort of plant medicine that they've found that can balance out some issue within the body, or something to do with end of life here, or an ending having to do with some growth. Give me 1 second. I'm really trying to peel this apart here. An exposing of something that's kept in the dark. So, on the news, you might hear of the death of somebody who was an older person. They could have been a Virgo. This would be something that would be announced. By somebody. It's on the global scale, okay? The death of somebody. And there could be the Ten of Wands is about struggle, right? The health of somebody was struggling. This person could be an official because of the Justice card. I do have the Judgment card down here, so it's definitely something about court, some court official. You could have gone to court to stop your family from trying to, somebody tried to stop you from getting this house, and you end up in court for that. The Hermit card, though, is about shining our light that we have internally, and growing and glowing that light by taking time to, we just decide that we want to go off on our own because no one seems to appreciate the wisdom and light that we bring to the world, right? We have a uniqueness to us. We have a special thing about us that we have inside us. Or it's about being open, though. You're alone. You choose to be alone because you don't feel understood necessarily. You're not worried about that because you know that there'll be somebody who comes along down the road somewhere and will seek your sage advice, will seek what you seek. Okay? And so, in reverse, this can talk about having to analyze the actions of others or shine a light on the actions of others, or maybe you're shining a light to help others find you. I think of the Hermit as like a lighthouse. You know, he calls those who need him home, right? There could be a death in the family, and that's why you end up going back home, because you need to sign some legal paperwork, and it's at a distance because you no longer live around there. There's a judgment, and there's this court kind of flavor. And the Justice card is the House of Libra, right? So I'm looking to the 7th house and the 1st house. And there's good luck here with the unknown, right? The Moon card can be the unknown. But it's our emotions as well. So you might be feeling very emotional about this situation. I don't think it's necessarily court that's like a legal case that's stressful. I think it might be just end of life will situation. Like somebody could be creating a will. You might be feeling called to do that. Somebody in your family might be doing that, and they want you to sign something or witness something. There's a change on the world front as well. This could be a very kind of a time in the world where big changes are going on out there, and that there could have been an end to a struggling period for a lot of people at a distance. There might be an end to being on your own with something and a sharing with that with others in the world. So you might stop talking about something and start actually doing more out there in the world. That could be the big change. There's a measuring out of different plants, literally on a scale. It's as if it's like a world mercantile thing. for some reason. So foreign trade, transactions, um, all right, I'm going to move on because it's getting, I don't want to take too long here. The Five of Wands in reverse in the 4th house, but let's get your planet card here. The North Node in the 4th. You will be focused on where you've been, where in the past, in your childhood. You will be focused on where you're going to be living, because it is your home, your security. You have faith that your personal life is going to kind of fix itself in any way, shape, or form that it needs to. In the 10th house, you have Venus, the devil, again in the 10th. It's so strange. The 4 of Pentacles. The Venus card, the Empress. And the Star. Ooh, that's very good. Okay, so the house card being in the 4th, you're definitely either moving into a new home, going to court filling out legal paperwork at a distance to get a new home. There might be you might buy a home many states over or in another country. You might inherit a home. There's a home here, and it's looking like that's going to be a big focus for you in terms of this 2023. Something with having to do with your home sector of your chart will be on fire because there's a lot of things coming up. I do see you being on top of any kind of actions that need to be taking place in regards to this. Your family could be a big part of this year for you. You're no longer bored because you're very very busy. You might actually be exhausted. You might be seeing things for the first time that you have not in a very long time or ever, having to do with the family or the home. Like things that other people would not pick up on, you're starting to pick up on. You don't want to fight with other people or compete for security in any way, shape, or form. So I feel like you'll be putting down your sword and just saying, no, I'm not doing this. I do have the 5 of Wands in reverse. This can either go in that direction or it can be like competition that has gone a little too far and has become a full-blown argument, not just a battle of wills. It's not just bickering at this point. It's maybe getting into a big heated argument with somebody. Having to do with who's in charge at home, or you might be feeling left out of a situation and actually that makes you very happy. You don't feel like you're at a loss or that you're bored or anything like that. The North Node is having faith in something though. So you might have put a bid on a house and you were hoping to like manifest this and you were ready to go, and you kind of getting impatient with the competition. Like just have faith. If it's not this one, it'll be the next one kind of train. You might actually get this house that you're looking at. Now I see in your career, your reputation with others, there being a lot of financial opportunities in career. You'll be looking really good at your career. You might actually have a job that is more Venusian in quality, like model, makeup artist, um, interior designer, because I have Venus here and I have the Empress. And she's the creation artist, right? She's the one that births new projects into being. And I have the Star card from the Lenormand, which is like fame, fortune, your light shining out and glowing outward, and everyone's connected to you somehow. It can have a literal internet and beauty vibe, your work that you do, a beauty blogger. Here with the Devil card and the Four of Pentacles in reverse, there's something about giving up some sort of resources, or the Devil card can be also antique, it can be traditional, and there's like a letting go of what you're holding on to. The Sun in Capricorn, right? It's shining a light on maybe that rigidity, right? And so there's a releasing of something. So you might release some sort of this is like a gothic type thing as well. So this is like Elvira. She's like the beautiful dark lady, you know. Um, there's private life in the fourth and the public, right? And I got the private card of the Lenormand in the fourth, and I have the public card. Well, it's not necessarily the garden, which would be the public card, really. Um, but it's the one that's out there, you know, that that's connected to others. There's this like wish, also a wish come true. So your career could really take leaps and bounds. Um, Saturn, there's some transformational kind of energy that's been in the houses prior. I'm almost wondering boundaries with beauty, right? There's like this, or addiction to beauty, or there's like a cosmetic addiction. Maybe that's a title is trying to come through, like um, makeup addict being like a title name or something, or Venus with the Devil card can also be a little bit narcissistic. So that's just the only negative thing I see there. I'm not really the four. It can be like the Four of Coins is like not wanting to let go, kind of hoarding, and this is a release of something, right? So somebody could be releasing or dropping something on the scene, right? Because we have like a fame card, a wish card. We have a creative card with the Empress. She births new things into existence, right? There's a releasing, so releasing it on the internet, literally. Um, and then there's an authority of beauty, because I can see the Devil card as being an authority. Um, but it does have to do with finances, and Capricorn is a very financial kind of sign, you know. They value money. We value money, you know, as Capricorns, that part of our charts. So it's also boundaries. So it's a bodyguard too. It's like not letting people through. It's the guard at the front door, right? Being like, you can come through, you cannot come through. It's an authority on anything Venusian, art, modeling, all that stuff. It could have a dark twist to it. You could be in a horror movie. You could be like Elvira, like I said, like that kind of vibes. It also could literally just be like financial organizations, beauty organizations, releasing. Also, the star card can be photographs, modeling, especially like photographs. So anything to do with photo artwork, modeling. The devil is the boundaries, right? So it's asking you to have firm boundaries within this career field if you do blow up, because there's obviously like, you know, some kind of exploitative nature to this business as well. A celebrity could become a mother out there in the world. That's just coming through. Ugh, I have a feeling like it's just right on the tip of my tongue. The North Node. So the home we're going to, we're having faith that things are going to, in our personal life, we're going to get together, in our family, that things are going to get together. Capricorn also is a very family oriented sign. It's a tradition as well, right? So there is a tradition of beauty that's here. But we're not holding on. We're not being too rigid. And then there's a rigidity of Capricorn. Capricorn is kind of rigid. So there's a letting go in order to letting go of the way you need that you've expected things to be, or you've always had things to be. There's an alternative. That's what it is. An alternative beauty. I don't have the Seven of Swords anywhere, but we are coming up on Aquarius, and I kind of have the Aquarius card right here. With the star card, that is Aquarius, right? That's all, and the devil would be considered some sort of alternative beauty, I think. So any of those things would be kind of, it might be that you're in a competitive business, and that, you know, you're rising to the top as well. The Capricorn's at the top of the chart, right? And so the devil is at home in this house. So I don't think it's anything negative. I think it's actually a very positive thing. It means that you're a top dog in whatever you're doing in the beauty or art industry. And there's going to be quite an influx of money and a lot of productivity. 11th house. Mars. Knight of Swords. The Five of Pentacles. The Lovers, the Man, the 5th house, the South Node, the Six of Cups, the Six of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, and the Child. You're going to have a lot of new romances if you're single. There's going to be new beginnings. You could be having a baby. I said that before, right? Yep. So you women out there, there's a great potential for being fertile myrtle this year. I have the child in the child house, and also the house of sex and procreation. I have the woman card in the physical body house. I have the mother card in the seventh house with the moon, which is also the mother, right? So, and I also have the tree card. It's the tree card in the ninth house is also the philosophies of having a family. I have Capricorn in the tenth house, which is, the traditional home life opposite the house. So yeah, and if you don't want to have kids, I suggest you take precautions. I also have here, this is about nakedness, about, and timing, and it just, and there's a family of deer here and a baby doe or buck. So take it as it is. Take it as you need to take it, but I see that there. Okay, so new beginnings in the fifth house. Starting fun things, doing things that are exciting and new that might be not what you're accustomed to doing for fun. Starting new things that you actually potentially like, hopefully. This is also new creations, right? All right. So those of you who find out you're pregnant and are very, very stressed and worried about it, because you're worried that about the balance that will need to be created between it in your life, because you'll be giving more to someone else. This is what I have here. So there's like a new beginning that's stressing you out with something having to do with a creation project, children, romance. You're afraid you might not have enough to give to this person, or who you're giving to might not be worthy of what you're giving to them. Or you might be stressed about having to do some put your kid in sports because you want them to be kind of involved in things, but you're not sure where the money's going to come from, and it's causing you anxiety. And then the Six of Cups here. This is about Kundalini energy too. So there's reciprocity here, giving and receiving. There's a reciprocity here. There's a gift here. So acknowledging that there's a gift being given. You might also be stressed because you're gifted something that you don't think you can ever be able to return the favor. It's asking you maybe to reconsider any past stresses or doubts or fears having to do with children. So if you've not wanted to have kids, or find yourself in a situation where you're stressing about somebody wanting to have children and you not wanting to, or it's saying that it might not be the time right now, or it might not be it wants you to remember your childhood for some reason. This is the child, right? Then there's nightmares here. There's stress here. It's like post-traumatic stress from childhood, but it's coming in the fifth house. So it should be fun. It should be light. It should be... I mean, if I look at this card as like, you being exhausted and cranky because you're in a new romantic relationship that you just started and you're very physically active with each other. That I can see. Yeah, this is also anxiety. So there's trouble here in the fifth house for you. I don't know. It has to do with a memory from the past. It could be an ex. So if you have had a child with an ex and you're doing a custody battle at all, this is for you guys specifically who are going through this sort of thing. Otherwise, it doesn't apply. So if you have been in custody battle, you might be worried for your child because you have been who's getting the child and who's who's going to give up custody, or how's that shared custody going to go. Maybe you're worried about meeting the needs of your child. You might just be stressed about starting something new and fearing not being able to give too much to the relationship. Or the creation. You also could have a child that started school. This is a past memory, though. It's telling you to remember something from the past. There's anxiety about this here. There's a giving and receiving of energy, of a worthiness, right? It's about the flow of the universe. It can be literally about sports because it's in the fifth house. And there's, I can see this as like basketball or something. Maybe you're worried about starting something new in new sports. Maybe your child is worried about it. I'm going to look opposite it. Okay, so we got Mars. That's physical activity. And the South Node is about in trouble, anxiety. There will not be. It's what we're leaving behind, and Mars in the 11th. So if this is about child support of any kind, I can see that being kind of like something to do with this up here. You want to put your kid in a sport. You're worried about the support you're getting from other people. Mars in the 11th. It could be an argument with a friend. It could be an argument with a friend. Or an associate of some kind. But it also could be action, taking humanitarian action. The Man card is just what we know about stuff. It's our consciousness. It's also a significant man and that comes into the picture in your friend circle. He might end up being an option in love. It seems like he's not doing that great right now with the 5 of Pentacles. Like he might be recently divorced, or and it would have been a bad divorce. He could be he might have had to make a decision that led him to financial bankruptcy of some kind, or feeling left out in the cold in terms of his finances. And there might have been some arguments, and swift action needed. But it seems like somebody's rushing in to kind of help him, because it is in the helping and humanitarian house. Um, Philanthropy would come in the next one, right? But humanitarian efforts. It's also about the freedom, right? So the freedom in a relationship, your freedom in your friendships, the freedom. So it could have been about a divorce as well. He could have been through a divorce. But you might be romantically interested in him now. I keep seeing somebody barging in on somebody. Barging in. You might have a friend or an associate that gets very jealous of your relationship at this time. This is like knight in shining armor, though, too. So somebody might try to come to your rescue in your friend circle, or in a romantic way. I do have Mars and Venus right next to each other. They could be somebody that you work with. All right. The sixth house. Neptune. The Six of Swords. The Page of Wands in reverse. The Ace of Pentacles and the Clouds. And I'm going to flip these over because it does help. I will go back to the last houses. I think that there's something that you're trying to get out of that you might have to force yourself to deal with, in terms of old activities, old creative gigs, old things. All right, so we have Uranus in the 12th, and we have Neptune in the 6th. Neptune is hard in the 6th. It is like the dissolving of boundaries, right? It's like having no schedule and no daily routine at all. And so you just at a whimsically go through your day. Nothing is ever done in order or in the same way. There's like this, you're almost losing time. It's very daydreamy. It's daydreaming on the job. It's kind of doing some kind of almost spiritual work. It's also, spiritual work. Uranus in the 12th is sudden spiritual epiphanies. It's being connected to something greater. It's literally seeing a UFO. It's Neptune is foggy, right? And the 12th house is kind of foggy, and it's opposite its house. So there's a connection between these two houses, for sure. There might be a spontaneous or erratic or not altruistic, altruistic, yeah. Sudden spiritual phenomena. If you are involved in any of those types of careers, or interested in any of those things, it can be ghosts because they have the clouds card. The 12th house is like what we can't choose, right? Out of all of the houses, we can try to work our way through them and change things about our life, right? But the 12th house is spirit. It's totally, you can't really put a regimen on spirit. You can have a spiritual regimen, and maybe that's what this is talking about. Getting into having a spiritual kind of regimen every day, like you read the tarot in the morning while you have a cup of coffee or tea. You use Florida water on your floor to wash and cleanse your house, as well as mop the floor, of any negative energies and vibrations you might have picked up from somewhere else and brought in your home. If you had a hidden enemy, okay? If this person was a hidden enemy online, they will be blocked. You might feel spiritually protected or blocked this year from something. There is a challenge or an obstacle having to do with not being able to get through something, or you might feel like you're blocked spiritually for some reason, or having difficulty connecting to spirit, and that, or you might be trying to connect with spirit in some sort of way, and it's saying that your defenses are down. You're being more offense. You might find it challenging to be alone this year. Or you might find it challenging to not be a people pleaser this year. There is some sort of out of this worldness that's coming in, or sudden spiritual revelations or connection to the universe. It's saying like you're never alone, like, and not in a creepy way, like even when things are difficult and you are alone, it feels like, or that there's people surrounding you, you can still be connected to spirit. I think that you might find a new way of connecting to spirit, an innovative way, that you're getting messages and downloads from this year. You might see a UFO as well. That literally might be what it is. Like, because I have this mountain range and I have being alone, right? And quiet, and it might be a little cold, or it might be a little dark and desolate out there. And then the Seven of Wands thing where she's like in a bubble on a pillow, but it looks like it's a spaceship coming down to me for some reason. And then there's contact with the lion and the woman on the strength card, and that's about, like, smoothing, taming the beast, smoothing something over, kind of Venus and Leo, and Uranus is about stirring things up. It's rebellious. um you might find there's a spiritual energy that stirs up things for you. It could have to do with you being more connected and just experiencing something or feeling something. In your sixth house, your day-to-day routine, there's some inability to see something, but there's something tangible there. Maybe you're not seeing the money come in that you wanted from some sort of full-time job, and you're feeling like a lack of enthusiasm, and so it's telling you to move on to something else, something that's more in line with your spirit, something that's more creative. Okay. There is a new home coming in for you in 2023, Libra. The beauty industry comes into play. New love, potential legal paperwork of some kind. Could have to do with a business. Doesn't have to do with child custody all the time. Could be child custody for one of you and a business loan or contract for another one of you. You may inherit a house this year, or at least gain the key to something in terms of shared resources, but it means more responsibility for you. You're having a glow up of some kind in your financial sector. Your seventh house of relationships, I see strong bonds building between mother and child. I see happiness. I see doing things in a non-traditional format, or maybe being more spiritual than religious. So that being in the seventh house is maybe you've decided you're not going to church anymore or something, and you're just going to stay home and practice from home, or you're going to go about your relationships with other people in a different way, and that's actually causing you to be more on top of things, feel more on top of your relationships, and be more emotionally available to them, and makes things happier. I see family here, like big time. I see psychic energy and spiritual energy coming into your day-to-day life in some sort of way. You're being aligned to spirit. You're being called to listen to spirit, and there will be a big wake-up call in terms of communication. You might have to end communication with somebody who's being immature. Hopefully that's not a sibling. Or you might get upset about, it's not necessarily being upset, there's just an ending to being alone, maybe, and having more people to talk to. And if it has to do with creativity, it could be being involved in a band or instrumental, being a musician. Could be doing that. You might end one form of art form and begin another. I see some challenges in your spiritual sector, but other than that, I don't really see anything. I see some endings in the third house. I see growth in, your ninth house of foreign affairs and philosophy and culture and higher education. So that also, there could be changes with higher education. You could be leaving one form of schooling and going into another, or graduating. Actually, graduation comes in very strong because we have the diploma, we have an end of a tough cycle, we have growth, and the tree is also kind of an achieving newer heights. So with the world card there, that's the major completion. You might be finishing up your master's. You might be having gone to law school, and now you're finishing that up, and there's a great change in your life. There is some great change having to do with higher education for many of you. And that would probably be like, I just finished my associates and now I'm moving on to a 4-year college or a 4-year program or my residency, or something like that. So it doesn't have to be a lawsuit. It can be literally like, the justice card is like a contract. It's a legal document, right? And a diploma is a legal document. You've achieved something. The world is achievement. You're going to come out on top in some shared resources or of some kind. And this might literally be, if it has to do with a home, it might literally be like you change rooms and you're much happier and the other person is not so happy with their choice of room. I mean, it's literally could be that minute. But the death card is your 8th and your 9th houses is where the most transformation is going to come. Your shared resources with others and your higher education achievements, culture, philosophy, spiritual beliefs could be affected or changed. You're going to be very psychic in a lot of ways too. You're going to be psychic about your relationships and your day-to-day life and what you're doing for work. If you are a tarot reader, I see that here. Not being sure where the money's going to come from, but then all of a sudden you get a lump sum of cash. You might have left a job. Worse times, left worse times for new things or better times. And it's also idealizing things. So you could be daydreaming about, a move. You could be wanting to move, not being able to see the money, but it comes in somehow, because you haven't been as excited about life or a job or a place of being. You finally get the change you wanted. See you being very close to spirit and your family, and there's love here as well. I feel like there's a man and a woman that are at a distance from each other. She's more focused on herself, and he's more of a friend right now. And she might be blocking him, and not even know she's blocking him. Or somebody could be interfering with the relationship. There could be like a hidden enemy that you find out. It could be an Aquarius, but it doesn't have to be. It could be a Leo, but it doesn't have to be. There's just some sort of block in terms of feeling connected. These two feeling connected. Career is sparkling, like money. I mean, you might leave. You might have to. There's something in your day-to-day life or your health. You might quit smoking. That's what I see that. because she's dropping the stick here, and this is the clouds card, so it looks like smoke. Also, Neptune is kind of like smoke and mirrors, right? So yes, that's what it is. I see that for a lot of you. You quit smoking. Your health will. There any kind of muddled things with the health, Libra? Any kind of muddled or confusing things with your health? I see you being able to finally get a grip on it. Like you have a tangible thing that you can hold in your hand, like a document that says, oh, your blood sugar was low. Or, that's just an example. I don't see that here. But there's some sort of financial or material thing that comes of being confused about something. So finally things start to maybe clear up, and you get something to hold in your hands and know what's going on. It's tangible. You might not be thrilled about it, but at least you're able to move out of troubled waters and into something else, something better, calmer waters. And this could be, there might be a sacrifice that needs to be made within the health, like the giving up the smoking, and that will improve the problem that you've been having. And of course, it's all relative. Like if it's not smoking, it could be something else. Maybe it's a job that's been troubling and it's been affecting your health. And maybe it's the location that, like, you need to look for a job, but you're not finding it where you are. And then you move, and then that allows you to have much more finances coming in, and you seem, some of you out there that are Libras are going to be having an amazing career in 2023. Stardom, beauty, being at the top of the food chain, releasing beautiful artwork of some kind, being graceful, having a lot of money, having luxury around you, because Venus is, Taurus is ruled by Venus, right? And that's the luxury. Also, I see you having romantic, luxurious nights out. Lots of new things coming in that are new luxuries, communicating about the things that you desire, or the things that, would make your life more interesting or better, what you need also. So you're communicating about your needs. You're transforming your beliefs on education, or your power. You're also gaining power in a way that's through world affairs, or you might see something about power in world affairs. All right, Libra, I could go on for ever and ever and ever, but I want to make sure that I've almost gone 2 hours with you guys. All right, well, have a great 2023. I know it will be awesome, and I can't wait to see you guys in January. Like, share, and subscribe if you would like, and I would surely appreciate it. And have a great December, and happy holidays, Libra. Take care.